convicted, but his sentence yet to be decided. Here to explain what he could be facing, CNN legal analyst Ellie Honey is a former state and federal prosecutor. Ellie, maximum penalties that Chauvin could face.
Yeah, John, well, Derek Chauvin has now been convicted of all three charges against him. Murder in the second degree, maximum 40 years. Murder in the third degree, maximum 25 years. And manslaughter, maximum 10 years. Now, if each of these charges related to different conduct, they could be run what we call consecutive, meaning back to back to back. However, all three of these charges relate to the same conduct, the killing of George Floyd, so they're run what we call concurrent, meaning at the same time. So as a practical matter, the maximum sentence Derek Chauvin faces is 40 years.
40 years, the maximum. How much is he likely to be sentenced to?
Two different questions, right? Minnesota has what we call sentencing guidelines. What these guidelines do is tell a judge where he should, doesn't have to, but should sentence any defendant. Now, if we do the calculation for Derek Chauvin, you have to start with the person's criminal history score. Derek Chauvin has never been convicted of a prior crime, so he's going to be in the lowest category, which is 0. Then you have to find the highest conviction, the highest crime he was convicted of. Here, that is going to be this, murder in the second degree, unintentional. And so that leaves us with a range, a recommended range of 128 to 180 months. The recommended sentence for a judge is 150 months, which is 12 and a half years.
12 and a half years, the likeliest possibility, but there are aggravating factors. The judge, during this moment, said he's going to take 8 weeks to review what's called the Blakely matter here.
Yeah.
This deals with aggravating factors in this crime. What does that mean?
Exactly. So the prosecutors have made clear to the court, they put in a motion saying they're going to ask the judge to go up from that 12 and a half years based on 5 factors that the prosecutors are arguing. First, that George Floyd was a particularly vulnerable victim. That's because he was rear handcuffed when this all happened. Second, that Chauvin acted with particular cruelty. They talk about the method of snuffing out a man with your knee while the crowd stood by and begged.
9 minutes.
For mercy. 9 minutes and 29, exactly. Third, abusive position of authority. Derek Chauvin abused the badge. He was a police officer. Fourth, Chauvin committed the crime as part of a group of 3 or more people. Now, this is interesting. Remember, 3 other police officers are charged here. They're going to be tried in August. That's the state's argument that this was a group of 4 people committing this crime together. And then fifth, there were children present. Of course, we heard from some of those children as young as 9 years old who were eyewitnesses who testified at the trial. And you'll remember that moment when Eric Nelson, the defense lawyer, talked to Derek Chauvin in front of the judge, because normally a defendant has the right to have the jury find those factors. And Chauvin said, no thanks, I'm going to have the judge find those factors, which, given what the jury just did to Chauvin, probably was a good call.
Yeah, the jury didn't seem to have any trouble convicting him of all 3 counts. If he had left it to the jury, it's possible that they may give him an even steeper sentence. What do you think the judge is likely to come up with, though, even with the aggravating factors, which in this case seems somewhat definitional? I mean, you can't argue the fact there were kids there.
Yeah, I got to tell you, John, in my experience, anytime I've done murder cases and I haven't gotten convictions, the judge goes to the top. I mean, usually the ones I've done in the federal system have resulted in life sentence. Now, this is a state system. It's different. But I think the argument as a prosecutor is he took a man's life. 40 years is the appropriate sentence. It depends how many of those aggravators the judge finds.
Ellie Honey, very interesting. Thanks for helping us understand.
Thanks, Sean.
Brianna?